Hey you guys, it's your girl Katurah. I'm back with another video, and yeah, before we get into this video, for all my new subscribers, hey, thank you so much. And to my returning subscribers, hey, thank you so much, like always. Yeah, I don't know if I said it, but please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't even know if I said that. Today is Blue Chair Talk, and Blue Chair Talk is where I sit on my blue chair and we have vulnerable moments and we talk about real life events. My last Blue Chair Talk was about, you know, dating toxic men. I have one that's gonna come out about, it's like a story time with sickle cell. And then today is about, you know, how to stand firm on your first mindset. Like, you know, when you have that intuition or that first thought, how to stand on it and how to deal with a breakup or how to deal with, you know, walking away from someone. Because I think a lot of us go through that, like, you know, we become vulnerable and we get hurt. So without getting into everything right now, let's go. So guys, you guys all have known about my story about me being married young and etc. And I am a hopeless romantic, right? I love love for anyone. I love love for myself. But I do believe you have to be in the right type of relationship, the right type of love. And I'm not ashamed to say things to you guys when I open up, because I have to be true with myself. If you can't be true with yourself, then who you gonna be true with? And you know what I mean? Like, you gotta, it's like, you ever seen that thing by Michael Jackson? It starts with the man in the mirror. Oh yeah. And that's how it is. It starts with the person in the mirror, which is yourself. So for me, it's like I've always wanted love to the point where I would almost settle. And not intentionally settle, but you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to dating, we all know who we want. Now, we're never gonna find the perfect person, right? I don't want the perfect man, but there's just certain things that I want. I want a guy who loves God and who's gonna pray with me, who's gonna accept that I have sickle cell, and who's going to accept that I have a 5-year-old son and love him, you know, not necessarily be a father to him, but be a father figure. I want someone who understands that I can be a little sarcastic in the mouth, you know. I want someone to understand that I'm a fashionista and I like getting flowers and I like getting spoiled, but that I can also compromise, and you know, like different things like that. You know, he knows my love language and etc etc. And this is where praying comes into my tip 1. You have to pray for what you want, you know. Ask God to, hey God, you know, this is what I want. I'm praying on it. I'm standing on your word. Your word cannot return to you void. But also, God, help me to not settle, you know, because a lot of times what would be my thing is I would pray for something and then a guy would drop in my DM and I'm like, okay, God, that's from you. Like, yes, 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 yes. And, you know, he would have nice eyes, but maybe his hairline was receding. Or he would have a very nice car, but he was renting his home. Like, you know, there was just always something else where it's like, okay, I'm kind of settling, you know what I mean? So I'll tell you guys a story. I was, you know, praying. I had got out of a bad relationship and I was praying, like, you know, God, help my heart to heal, you know, just whatever my prayer was. And I remember God vividly telling me something in my closet, you know, just to hold on to his word. And literally it was maybe 2 days later and the guy who had broke my heart hit me up and I was right back talking to him. So I had just ignored what God told me and went right back because I was fearful of being lonely. Like that's always my fear, and the devil knows what our fear is and he taunts us with it, you know what I mean? So for me, my fear has always been to be alone. Like, I don't like being alone because I've always been in a relationship, so I don't know what it's like to not be in a relationship. So it's scary for me, you know. It's like, well, I don't have anyone to talk to, you know. I don't get that good morning text or that good night or that checkup call, or I don't have anyone to hang out with on the weekend to make me feel special. That's always been my fear. And I have multiple distractions, you know what I mean, to keep me afloat. I'm blessed that I have a son that I can take care of to take my mind off of it. I have myself, you know, that I have to worry about and take care of my home and actually, you know, live in your singleness. And I remember watching Michael Todd over quarantine, you know, preaching about just really living in your singleness and what that means. You know, a lot of people make it seem so bad that, oh, you're single and you're, you know, you're 29 or you're 30 or you're 35 or you're 40 and you don't have anyone. Why is that anyone's concern? Why is that such an issue? You know, you don't know what I'm waiting on. You don't know what I've been through. So with being single, it's not bad, because once you're in a relationship, baby, you're in a relationship, and I know that due to marriage, like, you have to give yourself to that person, you know. It no longer becomes you, it becomes we, and you have to mentally be ready for that. So I do believe that, you know, being single is a great thing. And I remember talking to you guys about that on my Q&A, you know, being single and waiting and being okay, you know, like going out with your girlfriends, going out with your homeboys, you know, figuring out what you do like, what you don't like, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, you know what I mean? Getting to know yourself. What movies do I like? What flowers do I like? What amusement park do I like? That way, when you finally meet that person, y'all can throw things off, like, I like to do this, I like, you know what I mean, instead of being like, well, I really don't know what I like. And then because of that, you now take on that person's identity. Like, you ever get into a relationship and because you don't know yourself, now you take on that person's characteristics. Like, you never liked basketball, but because he's watching basketball, now you like it, you know what I mean? Or, you know, you weren't the type of person to listen to rap music, but because he's bumping Lil Baby all day, now Lil Baby's in your playlist. And it's like, okay, half of that is okay, because you can be with someone and they throw a little flavor on you, like, okay, I've never watched this movie, but me and Bae watched it, so now I like it. That's cool. But when you start taking that whole person identity because you don't have yourself, when that person breaks up with you or breaks your heart or whatever it is, it becomes so much harder because you have now lost yourself in that person, because you didn't take the time to know who you are, what you want, what you will or will not settle for. So with that being said, go back to story time. I told you guys I got out of this relationship and I went back and it just didn't work. I was like, you know what, I'm too hurt from you. You've hurt me. We can't do this. Like, we just decided we can't do this. And I remember him reaching out to me, and I shared it to you guys in my toxic story, so if you haven't watched it, please do. And a part of me was kind of curious, like, what does he have to say? But then another part was like, I'm done. I've been through this for like a year now. So when he called me over the burner phone, I remember picking up, not on purpose, but you know, I pretty much knew 407 would be him, but still I wasn't really thinking too much into it. So when I did pick up and I heard it was him, I was just like, you know what? And he was like, you know, I want to talk to you, I want to see you in person. And I'm like, for what? And he was like, look, you asking too many questions. And to me, I'm like, you haven't even changed. Like, here you go again. So I was like, I'll have your number. So, you know, you send me your number, I'll have your number. So he's like, oh, you don't have my number? Like, yeah, right, ha ha ha, laughing. He ended up sending me his number, and y'all, I did not use it at all, because I'm like, Katura, if you go down this road again, you're a dummy. You're setting yourself up. So I proceeded to go on with my life, and I was just like, no more. Like, I'm gonna date myself, and I'm gonna take my time, and I'm going to lean onto God's word. You know what I mean? Like, this is my time to figure out who I am, what I want, and to not accept nothing but the best. Like, why am I limiting God on who he can provide for me? Like, I believe that God has the right man for me at the right time. I don't know how he's going to do it, and that's probably going to be the best love story, because I don't know how it's going to happen, but I do trust and believe that it's going to happen. And I was reading today, hold on guys, and forgive me, my story times can kind of go all over the place, but I hope you guys are following me. But I would always share this on my TikTok, so if you're not following my TikTok or my Instagram, the link will be down below. I have Linktree where you can just pretty much find all my websites. It just makes it easier. But live your dreams. It's a 90-day daydream and goal devotional, and it's amazing. Hopefully I can bring it up and show you guys. So there it is. And today, you know, I was just like, you know what, God, I gotta get back to you. Only what I do for you will last. You know, you take away certain situations for a reason. And I will get into like everything, but real quick, today was day 22. Become what you believe. Set out each day believing in your dreams. Know without a doubt that you were made for amazing things. And in this, I want to share with you guys what it talked about. There was a story in the Bible about two blind men who approached Jesus, asking if he would give them their sight. Instead of instantly healing the men, Jesus put the responsibility back on them by asking one pivotal question: do you really believe I can do this? And that to me was amazing, because a lot of times in the Bible you'll read where there was a lot of people coming to God with different illnesses, you know, sickness, demons, all this stuff. And God, you know, before healing them would always have a question to ask them, or, you know, he would always test their faith. Like, you know, do you believe I can actually do this for you? Like, at the end of the day, life and death is in the power of our own tongue, right? So it's almost like a genie, right? How are you going to ask a genie for something if you don't believe the genie can really do it? So it's like, how am I going to go to God in prayer and walk by faith if I really don't believe that God can do it? How do I go to God with prayers and say, God, do this, fix this in my life, and then I get up and I immediately doubt? He's not going to do it for me if I doubt it. Like, I'm putting my mouth on my own situation. I'm not blessing it. But if I pray to God and I get up and I said, yes, God, you already did it. I believe you can do it. I have faith. God's only asking for a mustard grain, and a mustard seed is really, really small. So if he's asking for us to have just that little bit of faith, and he'll bless us, he's not asking for a lot. So this really touched me to see that, you know, he was gonna bless them, but he's like, I want to see, like, do you believe I can do it for you? And they answered without a doubt. The key to their breakthrough was, okay, so this is the key to our breakthrough here. The key to their breakthrough was in their response. Without hesitation, the blind men proclaimed, why, yes, master. He then touched their eyes and gave them the solution to any of us desiring an impossible dream. Become what you believe, okay? So at the bottom, I'm just going to go down here, and it says, the same way those blind men begin to see outwardly, you need to see your dreams inwardly as if it's already done. You need to walk and believe. Like, if you don't have a relationship, like, God, I believe I'm going to get married, you know, put a date on it. Be bold when you come to God. God, I'm believing in 2021 you're going to give me my husband. You have the man who is made for me. You know, be bold. In 2021, God, you have that job that's for me. I'm walking in it. I'm already at that job. Let them already be speaking of my name and be thinking of me. We have to walk boldly before God and know, excuse me, God, I'm getting so serious, and know that God will do what he said he will do. He is a man of his word. We need to have bold faith in God's ability to do what seems impossible, because he can do the impossible. He moves mountains. If he can, it says in his word, if I can give the birds shelter, what more will I do for you? The birds are out there eating every day. So why will he not provide for me? Why would he not provide for me? And when I think about it, it makes me want to cry of his goodness and his mercy. And it's like, us as human beings, we really limit what God can do for us out of our own thinking and our thoughts. Because a lot of time we pray and immediately we get up with the devil on our shoulder and we're like, nah, it's not really gonna happen. Nah, I don't, because it doesn't happen right away. We automatically doubt him instead of being like, I don't see it, God, but I know you're gonna do it. That's the type of faith I'm having this year. So it keeps on saying, you know, do you really think that I can give you the business, the career, the ministry, that financial breakthrough, the relationship goal that you want? And without hesitation, you should answer, yes, Lord. Like, if God were to sit right now, right in front of me, and he's like, Keturah, do you believe I can give you that relationship you want? Without hesitation, yes, Lord. Do you believe that I can drop $1 million in your bank? Yes, Lord. You don't need to hesitate. He can do all things. You don't have to know, and this is my favorite part, you don't have to know how he is going to bring your dreams about. You only need to trust that he will. Dream big, believe big, and the results will be big. So if you think big, and I'm thinking big all 2021, starting this today, okay? Starting today, because I was in my feelings all weekend, but starting today, I'm like, I got up, I took me a nice shower, you guys. I played gospel music. Like, that comes to point 2. Get up. Do not stay in your depression, in your sadness, because that is what the devil wants. The devil don't want nothing good. Play some gospel music, okay? You got to chase that devil out. You got to chase them spirits out. Play some gospel music. Go take a shower. Think about all the goodness that God has done, that you're in. I was crying in my shower because I'm like, God, I have been selfish. I want for nothing. My son wants for nothing. My family wants for nothing. I can cry out to you in my shower. There's a lot of places right now in China where they want to worship God and they cannot. Okay, and there's gonna come a time where we can't worship God freely. So now that we can, do it, and don't be ashamed, and cry to him, because he's there to listen. And when I got out that shower, I felt amazing. I felt good, because You know, this weekend my mom and my nana were praying for me, but sometimes we got to pray for ourselves. We have to speak over ourselves. We got to cast away our own demons and our own spirits and break the chains and break the heavy bands, because the devil is not going to tell you anything good. He's not. Okay, he wakes up earlier before us. He comes to only steal and destroy. Okay, he comes to wash you with doubt, and we're human. So I'm not gonna say as soon as you pray you're gonna be like, ah, yes. There's gonna come self-doubt and like, oh God, it's been a week and I don't see it. Okay, you know what, it's been 5 months and I'm believing in 2021 and I don't see it. You know what, 2021 might come and go and I still don't see it, but I trust you, Lord. Yes, I do. And he's testing our faith, and if you can pass that and keep thinking big and big and big and big and big, you will get rewarded big. And before I go into my story, I will share to you guys a testimony, not my testimony, but it was one of my pastors that I used to go to, Brother Danny. If you're in Ocala, please check him out. I remember he wanted like a Mercedes car, a very nice car, but he's like, I don't have the money for this, like, we're not gonna get this. But they needed to upgrade their car. They go to the dealership and they pretty much are just like, wow, we really love this car, we're believing in God for this car. Do you know what happened? They got a call back saying that everything has been approved, they can get that car. That's nothing but God, because they had faith. Like, you know what, Lord, I don't have any money in my bank, my credit doesn't look like I can get it, but I want it and I'm believing in you. That's how we have to speak to God. That's how we have to trust and believe in God. So right before you, whatever your situation is, before I go into my story, I want you to take time out right now. I don't know what your situation is, what you're going through, what brought you to my YouTube channel, but I believe that everything happens for a reason. And that you're watching this video for a reason, because God doesn't do anything by mistake. And I'm sharing this with you, and I go through experiences for a reason to share it with you guys, because I have decided to no longer stay silent and write it in my journal, because that's what I would do. I would write all my experiences in my journal, because one day I want to not one day, I am going to have a book, but for now YouTube is my book, you know, where I can sit and talk to you guys freely and encourage you guys, because I have gone through certain situations, or I'm going through certain situations, and God makes us all go through certain things as a testimony. It's just up to us to share it to people. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about what you've gone through and you share it with people, what a blessing that would be, you know? So before we go into anything, I just feel led to ask you guys, you know, whatever it is, you know, you want a new car, you want that new career, you want that relationship blessed by God. You know, if you're in a marriage right now, that marriage is not going good, but you want to stay in it, think big, believe big, ask big. I want you to pray. Maybe you're not into prayer. Maybe this will be your first time praying. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to come to God with big fancy words. He'll take you as you are. I want you to simply say, dear God, I'm trusting in you right now, and I'm believing God for bigger in 2021. I'm believing that my finances, God, are going to be bigger. I believe that my relationship is going to be bigger, God, and that you said you'll do what you're going to do, God. I believe, dear Lord Jesus, right now that you have that man or woman for me, dear Lord Jesus, and I am not going to settle, God. I believe that you have that car for me, God. I believe that house that I've seen, God, that house has my name on it, God, and they will be calling me back. Come bold before the King. Come bold before him, okay? Come in reverence, come in honor, but be bold in what you're asking for. So to go with my story of what happened to me this weekend, I was talking to, I remember the toxic video, guys. Ooh, this is where I'm a little bit ashamed now. In my toxic video, I mentioned one guy who I was dating, and he got really mad at me because he would text me good morning, and I didn't text him good morning with an emoji, like a kissy emoji back. He took it really personal, and he didn't want to talk to me anymore. He was like, I'm done, I've been hurt, I don't have time for this. And I was just like, I'm not here to hurt you, like, talk to me, we're adults. And he pretty much just shut down and didn't want to talk, and you know, just nothing. Like, he didn't want to talk. He's like, I have nothing to say, I have nothing to say. And I was really hurt, because I'm like, you know, I like you, like, why are you treating me like this? So long story short, I don't talk to him. I think a day goes by, and he texts me at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, hey, you know, he never once said sorry. It was just more of like, you know, I talked to my best friend, and my best friend made me realize that, you know, you're just trying to figure me out, and I swear I'm not a hard puzzle. You know, I'm trying to do things, like, I don't really say words of affirmation, but I know that you like it, so I'm trying to change, you know, and do those things for you. So you know, just pretty much explaining the situation. So me being the sweetheart that I am, and I try to be very understanding and give people a chance, I'm like, as long as you didn't punch me, kill me, do anything to hurt me, and I still kind of like you, like, you know, we're still getting to learn each other, let me give him another chance. And I know many of you, when I read in the comments, a lot of you guys were like, walk away, run, like he's not the one. And deep down in my spirit, okay, we have something called a Holy Spirit. When you give your life to God, God assigns us with the Holy Spirit. A lot of people are like, it's, for instance, like you go to a party and people always say, something told me not to go to that party, or something told me not to go down that alley. Well, that something is a Holy Spirit. Let's call it what it is. It's a Holy Spirit. So I already knew in my spirit that this guy was not the one for me. He was not my husband. But I still was like, okay, well, maybe he could be. Maybe, you know, we always like to put our own spin on things. When God says no, we like to be like, well, or at least I do. So I ended up giving him another chance. Things are going good, but I knew that I had to walk on eggshells with him. And I didn't want to be in a relationship like that, because I came out of a relationship. And it's never good to be with someone that you have to walk on eggshells with. Like the last relationship I was in, if I didn't put like a LOL or something like that, like it would be like, oh, did you really mean that? And that's how I was with him. Like if I didn't put a LOL or a smiley face or something, like he would take things seriously, or like it would be an argument, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, whoa. So I would only really see him on the weekends because we both have kids and stuff like that. So this particular weekend, I saw him on a Friday, everything was good. And then Saturday, you know, my mom was like, hey, I just want to break, you know, I've been watching your son all weekend. And I'm like, Mom, like, how am I ever gonna fall in love? I'm getting mad at her, you know, I'm like, how am I gonna fall in love, and how am I gonna date, and you don't want to watch my son? Like, and I'm getting sad and mad. And you know, my mom, she loves me till the world, and she'll do whatever for me. And she was like, okay, like, you know, I'll watch Amir's for you to go out. So I go to his house and we fall asleep, because we really didn't do anything besides like fall asleep, watch TV, or go out with his friends. Like that was our relationship. Like he didn't really woo me. That's when your girl should have left. But we had woke up from a nap and he was like, babe, you know, my friend texts me and wants to go to St. Pete. Like, do you want to go? And I'm like, you know, it's up to you, I'm down with whatever. And he was like, do you want to go? And I'm like, it's up to you, like it's your friend, but yes, babe. Like, yes, sure. So we get dressed, he gets me something to eat, and you know, we're about to go. He lets me know like, hey, this is a different group of friends, and he, you know, kind of breaks down like how their personalities are. And he already knows, like, I'm pretty shy. I've already told him, like, I'm shy when it comes to new people. Like, I just kind of sit back and observe, but I'm never mean, you know what I mean? So we get to St. Pete's and we meet them at like a hotel, and I immediately like sit in the corner and I'm on my phone. That's kind of like my secret weapon. Like that's where I feel safe. Like I'm on my phone every once in a while. Like, you know, I look and I smile and I'm back on my phone. So he's in the kitchen. Like there was no introduction, which is what I wanted. I wanted him to be like, everyone, this is Katura, this is da 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 da. But whatever, I'm not gonna make it a big thing. So I said, hey everyone, a general hey, and I sat down. So he's in the corner and they're like, do you want a drink? I'm like, no, I'm good. And he's talking to them. It's been like about 20 minutes and he still hasn't come over to check on me. So I'm kind of feeling a little way, but don't really want to make it a big thing because I know how he can get. So I'm in my phone, and in this moment I'm like, well, maybe I should get a drink to loosen up. Maybe I should go over and talk to people. Like I'm trying to decide. By the time I could decide, he comes over to me and he's like, are you good? So I look up and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But I'm like, when you hang out with my friends, I'm gonna treat you the same way. That's pretty much just how I said it. Y'all, he gets so mad. So he goes, he's like and he goes sits on the couch. So I'm like, oh God, like here we go again. So I go sit next to him because I was in something like this, a one-seater, but it was a little bit bigger. So I go sit next to him and I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. Like he shuts down again, doesn't want to talk to me. And I'm just like, sorry guys, the camera died. I don't want to make this long. I'm going to try to speed it up. So anyways, he got mad at me. I'm sitting on the couch trying to figure it out. And he's like, my friends were trying to say hi to you and you said nothing to them. And I'm like, I didn't hear anyone say hi to me. Like, I didn't. And he's like, well, they did. He's like, my homeboy looked at me and was like, And I'm like, bro, just leave it alone. Like, she kind of in her element, da da da. And I'm like, okay, well, why didn't at that moment you just be like, hey, Katurah, you know, Jim Brown trying to get your attention? And he was like, I did say your name. And I was like, I was that much into my phone, like I did not hear you say anything to me. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, like, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't have a problem like telling your friends sorry, like I didn't hear them, you know. Still mad. He's kind of shutting down once again, like he did previously when we had our first argument about the good morning emojis. So I pretty much knew where this was gonna go. So I got up at that moment and I'm just like, everyone's ready to go. So we go downstairs, and we're in the car. He doesn't say anything to me, nothing. So then his homeboy goes to pick up another girl and he has to come in the back seat. So I'm like, yes, like, you know, maybe we can talk. So we're in the back seat and I reach for his hand and he's like, don't touch me. And I'm just like, okay, like, you know, like at this moment you think you would soften up, like I said sorry, like, you know what I mean, like, damn. So I touch his hand. He's like, don't touch me. And I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, you know, not trying to talk loud so everyone can hear us. I'm like, why are you acting like this? Like, what's wrong? And he's ignoring me. He's just like, and I'm just like, you're not gonna talk to me, you're not gonna talk to me. And he's just like, so we get to the event and I'm like, he's kind of walking ahead of me, but like we're still at the same pace. So I'm like, what is wrong? I'm like, you know, I want us to have a good night. Like, the night is still young. Like, I will, like I said, go apologize to everyone. Let's just have a good night. And he's like, no, the night is ruined. Like, I can't do this. I'm done. Like, just no. Like, this is the second time this has happened. I'm done. I'm like, the second time what has happened? And he's like, yeah, like, then he just starts to speed up and walk. So I'm like, sad, you know, I'm kind of like crying because I'm like, you know, once again, like, you're just very quick to like treat me like I'm nothing, you know what I mean? Like, you're done off of just little things, what I think is something little. I'm like, you know, I'm sorry I didn't hear your friends, like, you know, it's not a big deal. So I sit outside of the water fountain because I'm like, I'm not going inside to party with anyone, like, my feelings are hurt. So he comes back down and he's like, let's go across the street. So I'm thinking, okay, like, maybe we're gonna talk. Yo, we go across the street, we sit down for 10 minutes, nothing. So I'm like, what is the problem? I was like, what did I do so wrong that, you know, is making you act this way? And he's like, no, I'm tired of your mouth. I'm tired of your slick mouth. I'm like, what did I say that was so slick? I'm like really lost. I'm like, what? And he was like, what did you say to me when we were upstairs? And I was like, I'm like rehearsing it because sometimes I'm pretty forgetful. So I was like, oh, you came to check on me. And I was like, oh, you know, when we're with my friends, like, I'm gonna treat you the same way. And he was like, exactly. He was like, so now you're projecting your feelings on me and all this stuff, da 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 da. And I'm like, I was joking. I was like, I didn't really mean anything by that. I was like, you saw I was smiling. Like, how can you get my feelings misconstrued? I was like, over a text, maybe. But I said, when I'm on FaceTime with you and I'm like talking to you face to face, like, you cannot get my emotions mixed up. I was like, I was just joking. I was like, at the end of the day, like, yes, I felt like, he was like, I felt like you should have like introduced me to your friends. But I was like, it's not really a big deal. I was like I said, like, I didn't mean anything by it. I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm good, I'm done. Like, no, that's whack, that's whack. Like, you're putting your feelings on me. And he's just yelling and carrying on. And I'm like, I like you, like, I want it to work. Like, why are you, you know, still trying to figure it out? So he's not looking at me. I'm kind of like, you know, every time he goes this way, I'm like stepping in front of him and he keeps changing. And then I like reach for him and he's like, don't touch me. And he gets up and I'm just like, you know, at this point, what can I do? So his friends come out and they're like, hey, we're gonna go to a second spot. We go in the car. Once again, we don't say anything. We get out the car. We're sitting down in like this lounge bar area and I'm like, do you want a shot? He's like, no, I don't want to drink, I'm good. I'm like, you're really gonna make this ruin the night? Like, I don't understand. So his friends buy me a drink, like, everybody's cool. I apologize to his friends. I'm like, hey, I heard that you guys are trying to get my attention, but I'm very nervous when it comes to meeting new people. I'm very sorry, like, if I offended any of you guys, whatever. They're like, oh, it's fine, no problem, you know, you're good. So I said an additional sorry to his homeboy. I was like, hey, you know, I heard you were trying to talk to me, but I was so engrossed in my phone, I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, it's fine, you're cool, like, hey, don't worry about him, like, he got to talk to you at some point. I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm just sad, like, you know, he's really mad at me. And he's like, oh, don't pay it no mind. But they're all, you know, drinking at this point, so they could care less what I'm really saying. So he's sitting down and I'm like, can I talk to you? And he's like, yep, but don't touch me. And I'm like, bro, what's really good? So I come over, because like he's sitting on this side, I'm where the camera is. So I come walk over. By the time I can even get close to him, he gets up and he walks out of the bar and he does not come in for the rest of the night. So after I had a drink, I had like one drink because I'm not a drinker. I'm like, all right, you know what, let me go talk to him one more time and like maybe he's cooled down. So I texted him and I'm like, are you good? And he's like, yup. And I'm like, you know, can I come talk to you? And I didn't read the text till I was outside, but he had texted me and he was like, yeah, as long as you don't touch me. And I'm like, what is wrong with him? Like, so I get outside and I'm like, you know, what's wrong? Like, why do you always get this mad? Like, da 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 da. And he's like, you got my business all out in the street. And I'm like, I don't have your business anywhere. I was like, I'm literally like trying to make you have a good night, like for us to just cool it and forget it. And you're, you know, you're the one who's out here pouting and like not enjoying the night. Like, I wouldn't even mind if he was like, hey, I don't want to talk to you, let me turn up with my friends. Like, he didn't even hang out with his friends. Like, he was done. So I was like, you know, why do you get like this? And he was like, I'll talk to you when we get home. Oh, and before that, when he had said like, I'm done, and he walked away from me, he was like, when you get back home, get your stuff and leave. Like, it's done. So in my mind, I was like, you know, when I get home, I'm gonna leave because I can't touch him, I can't talk to him, nothing's gonna come of this. So he did say, you know, when we get home, we'll talk about it. So I was like, okay, like at this point, there's nothing I can do. We drive back home in silence with me, him, and his friend. And, you know, his friend kind of makes a joke. I'm like, thank you for dropping me off. And he's like, yeah, just give me a 5-star rating, da da da. So we get in the house and like his garage is still, I step into grass. Listen to this intricate story because this is how mad he gets again. And y'all let me know in the comments below if he was a psycho or not. So I step in wet grass because it was raining. So I usually walk into his house and like in his laundry room, that's where I take off my shoes. But because it was raining, I took my shoes off in the garage, you know, to be respectful. I'm not gonna carry my wet shoes halfway into your home. And the garage was still open, so I'm like, you know what, maybe he still wants me to leave. So I start packing up my stuff, and I had my book bag on, and like he's in the house walking back and forth, like not talking, not saying anything. So I'm like, all right, he obviously wants me to leave. So one more time, guys, I keep saying one more time, but one more time, I stand up by the garage and I'm like, hey, like, you know, do you want to talk? And he's like, nope, I have nothing to say. And I'm like, why? I was like, you know, you said when we get home you would talk to me. And he's like, because you're packed up, so your actions speak louder than words. And I'm like, I'm packed up because you haven't talked to me all night. Like, I don't know what to do. You won't look at me. You don't want me to touch you. Like, I'm so confused. And he's like, nah, you already packed, you good, you good. And I'm like, I said, tell me one thing. I was like, why do you keep treating me like this? Like, I don't understand what I did so wrong to make you like just go off the handle like this. And he looked at me and he's like, I've been hurt. And I was like, we've all been hurt. I was like, I've been hurt. I said, you know, I'm not here to waste your time or to hurt you. I said, I really like you. Like, I'm not here to waste your time or hurt you. And I was like, you know what, since you said that me packing up showed you my intentions, I said, I'm gonna stay. To, you know, like at that moment I'm thinking, you know, maybe he has really been hurt, maybe someone's walked out on him. I don't want to do the same thing, so let me put my book bag down and try to talk to him. So I put my book bag down, I'm taking out my charger to plug my phone in, and I realize he's not coming into the room. So I'm like, what is going on? So I hear him, like, you know, I could pretty much hear him going into the room getting something else. So I go out and he's sleeping on the couch, y'all. So I'm like, I'm not finna stay at your house, you sleeping on the couch doing. I said, I got my own home. I have a whole house. You're not gonna treat me like a second-rate citizen. Like, no. So I go out there and I'm like, I call his name. I don't want to say his name, but I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why are you doing this? I said, you know, you said, you know, I showed you my actions by me about to leave. Now that I'm staying, I'm like, you're on the couch and you don't want to talk. Like, I'm very confused. Like, what is this? What do you want to do? Like, do you want to be with me? Do you not? Like, what is the issue? And this is how I'm talking to him, how I'm talking to you guys. I'm like, what is the issue? Like, what's really good? Like, I'm trying to talk to you. What's up? And I'm calling his name. I'm like, yo. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, he jumps up. No, first he's like, like with the cover. He's like, oh my effing gosh, with the cover. And I'm like, I'm standing there like, okay. And I call his name one more time. I'm like, yo. So the way I said yo is how I said his name. I was like, yo. And he got up. He's like, you're not going to talk to me like that. No, get out, get out. So I grabbed my stuff because I'm like, yo, you don't have to kick me out. Like, enough is enough. So I hurry up to open the door and I press the garage opener before him, and it goes halfway and he shuts it back down. And I was just really hurt because it was 5 o'clock in the morning. It was raining. It was cold. We were already tired. Like, to me, you are not a good person when you can let a woman out. Like, normally guys do the opposite. They don't want you to leave. They're like, listen, sit your behind down. I ain't gotta talk to you, I ain't gotta look at you, but you not going out that late in the night. You know what I mean? Like, there's a respect level. And y'all, at 5 a.m. this man let me out of his house, okay? Close the garage down. And it's like, I don't care if he ever talked to me again or not, but I expected him to at least be like, did you get home safe? Y'all, this man has not hit me up since that Saturday night. I could be dead on I-75 on the side of the road and this man would not know, not care. So I was really sad this weekend, and I get into a place where I start to overthink. I'm an overthinker. I start to replay situations. I'm like, you know, well, what if I didn't, you know, have a smart mouth? I should have just, you know, went in there and been bubbly. Like, why did I sit in the corner? Like, I started to blame myself, and I had to stop myself. I'm like, Katura, you've been in this situation where you were blaming yourself for something that you did not do. I was like, at the end of the day, he continues to show me who he was. You know, I already had a glimpse from the good morning activity. So now you're showing me again that little things, you just blow up and you shut down and you don't care. So I tell you guys that story to say, you know, like, go with your first mind. When someone shows you who they are, run. You don't need to see anything else next. What God has for you is for you. God already made me a promise in my closet. And I had to stop being disobedient, and I had to learn to be alone and wait and stop messing with people, because I keep putting myself in predicaments to where I keep getting hurt. God's sitting back like, you don't have to get hurt. They don't have to be like this. Just wait. Just wait, my daughter. I got you. Just believe in me. Just trust me. Think big. Think bigger. I got you. This is not... Come on. You didn't even like him. You said that his hairline was receding. Like, come on. What's up? And I really just had to stop and laugh. Like, this weekend, y'all, I was just so sad because I was just hurt. Like, here's the guy that I liked and how he just treated me like I was nothing and kicked me out of his house, and it just kept replaying over and over in my head. And that ain't nothing but the enemy to keep replaying things to make you sad. And the enemy don't want to see you get up and have a good day and brush things off. And I remember before I went to my mom's house and I just fell asleep because I was just so tired and overthinking, and stress really kills and it plays a part. On top of me having sickle cell. And when I woke up, she was like, let me pray for you. And her and my nana prayed for me, and I felt a little bit better enough where I can drive and go home and be a mom to my son. And I still got into bed, and I was still just sad and, you know, fighting off a spirit that obviously I left his house with, because spirits do transfer, guys. It's a real thing. And you know, yesterday I was watching, you know, different preachers and pastors and letting the word really sink in my heart and praying over myself. And I told myself, you know what, Katura, you're going to wake up tomorrow, you're going to take a shower, you're going to be a bigger person, a better person, and you're going to wait, and you're going to lean on God's words, and you're going to come before him boldly with your prayers and have faith. And that's what I did today, and that's what I'm encouraging you guys. I got up today because I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I had put myself through so many worryation and etc. from the weekend that my body started to ache me. My period's coming, so y'all know how that gets. So I got up this morning and I was like, you know, I told my Alexa to play gospel music. I read my Bible, read my daily devotion, and I took a shower and I started worshiping and speaking over my body. You know, I made up my bed. I got, you know what I'm saying, pretty cute. And I read my devotional, and God is so good, and God has a sense of humor that there's certain situations that you'll pray about and you'll read about, God will give you confirmation, because what I had read in this book about, you know, waiting and, you know, coming before God with big, bold intentions. My mom had said that to me before, and I read it to my mom. I said, Mom, you know what I read in my daily devotion today? And I said, ain't that the same thing you said to me? She said, if I ain't say it word for word, okay. I said it word for, my mom had told me many times, okay, every time I get into a bad relationship, my mom's always like, just wait, God has a man for you. Why won't you wait? Why won't you wait? Just wait. God has someone for you. Think big. He has somebody really good for you. It's gonna blow your mind, the type of person that God has for you. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you want what you want, but sometimes what you want ain't good. So I hope my story time, I did not mean for it to run so long, but I just feel like when you tell somebody a whole story, they can paint the picture all the way. And I really feel like, I hope I help somebody who's in a relationship that they're not meant to be in. Get up and walk away. You can do bad by yourself. You know, if you're thinking and you're overplaying a situation like, oh my God, you know, maybe you lost a friendship or a relationship that you really thought was for you. You don't lose anything that's you're meant to have. Okay, God's not going to take away anything from you that he meant to give to you. He's never going to do that. You know what I mean? If God gives you $1,000, he's not going to take that $1,000 back. So if God has a relationship that is deemed for you, he's not going to take it back. So if you're in a relationship and you know it's not meant for you, you hear that still small voice, something's telling you to get out of that physically abusive relationship, that mentally abusive relationship, get out and don't look back. If you're hearing the voice of God say, don't text Joanne no more. Joanne is maybe a little, what they call it, sneaky link. Stop texting Joanne. Okay? If God is telling you, hey, you know, I don't want you to talk to that person no more. Don't go to that job. Listen to that still small voice and thank him in the meantime. God, I don't know what you're doing. Because a lot of times we don't know his plan. We don't know what he has for us. God, I don't know what you're doing, but I thank you. Because when the praises go up, the blessings go down. God, I'm feeling lonely right now, but I thank you. That's what we got to start doing. God, I'm not feeling too good right now, but I thank you. So thank him in the midst of your storm, because trouble don't last always, okay? Storms don't last always. The rain cannot continue to pour on your life forever. When you praise him and you worship him and you believe in him, good things will happen. So I hope my story time helped you guys. I love you guys so much. Please comment below and tell me what you think about my experiences. Share your experience as well. And I'll see you guys for another Blue Chair Talk.